Hey everybody, this is Valencia and welcome to my channel Balloons in Business, where I show you the business of balloon and event decor. So today I'm going to be showing you how I made this organic balloon arch from start to finish. So I'm going to be showing you how I made the balloon arch stand as well as the balloon arch itself. So if you want to see how I made this, just stay tuned. Now here's a rundown of the materials that I used. I got all these materials from Home Depot, by the way, and I will be listing them in the description box below the video. Now the nipple I use is an 8-inch nipple, but you can use a 6 or a 10-inch. They just didn't have 8-inch at this particular Home Depot. For the carriage bolts, make sure that you buy 8 of them because you're going to need 4 for each side of the stand. The same thing, 8 hex nuts and 8 of the flat washers. For the wood, you're going to use plywood board. You don't want to get the MDF or some of those other woods because they will come apart. The bolts will rip out of those woods. So you want the plywood board. Now you can purchase the pre-cut wood like this and just have it cut in half. Or you can purchase the larger plywood sheets, which are 4 feet wide by 8 feet tall, and you can have an employee at the Home Depot cut these for you in squares. I suggest 2 by 2 feet squares or no less than 18 by 18 inch squares. So I'm going to start off with this 1/2 inch thick 18 by 24 inch square. And then I have my 3/4 inch floor flange. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure at that halfway point of that board and put my floor flange right in the center of it. Then I'm going to take a Sharpie. You can take a pencil or a pen, and I'm just going to circle in where the screws would go because I want to mark that on the board. Now the holes that I'm going to be making, I need them to be big enough for this 1/4 inch thick carriage bolt to go through. So now I'm going to be using my Ryobi power drill. I'm going to be using my pack of spade bits, which I got from Walmart. I'm using the smallest one I have, which is 3/8 inches. And it's going to be big enough for the 1/4 inch part of the screw, the carriage bolt, to go through, but it's going to be small enough where the top part won't go all the way through the wood. So you want to make sure that you're drilling in the right direction when you're trying to drill that spade bit in. I had the button on the wrong direction and it was drilling outward, like as if I was taking a screw out of the wood. But I realized I needed to be drilling the other way, as if I'm drilling a screw into the wood, if that's not too confusing. So when you turn your wood around, make sure you get all the excessive wood off of those holes so that your carriage bolts can go in there really easy. So you want to take the carriage bolt, put the washer on there, and put it into one side of the hole. And then you want to flip that board over, take your floor flange and put it through that carriage bolt. And then you want to get that hex nut and screw it in there nice and tight. And you're just going to repeat these steps for all 4 of these carriage bolts. So you want to get yourself a wrench and make sure those hex nuts are in there nice and tight. Now you want to take your nipple and you want to screw it into the top part of that floor flange until you can't screw it anymore. Make it nice and tight. So one of the materials I forgot to mention in the beginning of this video is this 1/2 inch EMT steel pipe, and you can find this in the electrical section right alongside the electrical PVC pipe. Now make sure this is 1/2 inch because you want to make sure it can fit into that 3/4 inch nipple on the base, okay? So right now I'm measuring out this pipe to 3 feet because the pipe comes in 8 feet increments. So you want to cut this to 3 feet. So this is an EMT pipe cutter that I have. I just unscrewed it to where the mouth opens up and I can put it around the EMT pipe, and then I'm going to re-screw it back to where it's nice and tight on that EMT pipe in the area that I want to cut it. So now what I'm going to do is just start turning that cutter around the EMT pipe. So I did it back and forth, and then now I'm going all the way around. And then as I'm doing that, I'm tightening the cutter onto the pipe because it starts loosening up as you're turning it around. So keep tightening it, and that cutter will cut that pipe. It took me about 3 or 4 minutes to actually cut the pipe, but it will cut it. So I cut 2 3-feet pieces and I slid them into the nipple. Okay. So now I'm going to take some strong tape. This is duct tape, but I recommend that you get Gorilla Tape. You want it to be nice and strong because you are going to tape that EMT pipe to the nipple so that it won't come out. And I'm using a lot of tape because I want to make sure it's nice and secure inside of that nipple. So I got my gray electrical PVC pipes, and these pipes are 10 feet long. So one end of the pipe has like a bell, and then the other end is like a regular opening. So what you want to do is take the 2 pipes, and you want to stick the regular end of one of the pipes into the bell end of the other pipe. And that's how you're going to connect the 2 pipes together. So this is going to be 20 feet of pipe that I'm connecting together. So I had to do this by myself. So I laid down one of the bases on the ground and slid that PVC pipe over the EMT pipe. Remember, the PVC pipe should be 3/4 inches so that it's big enough to slide over that 1/2 inch EMT pipe. So once I do that, I am going to use this cinder block to anchor that part of the base right there, so that I can slide the other end of the PVC pipe onto the other base. Something to note, when getting your PVC pipe, you want to make sure that you get the gray electrical pipe because this is flexible enough to curve, unlike the white plumbing PVC pipe, which is too rigid for this. Also, if you want your arch to be taller, you can buy more PVC pipe. If you add a 3rd PVC pipe to this, make sure that you cut the bell off of that 3rd pipe using a PVC pipe cutter. And then you can stick each end of that 3rd one into the bells of the other 2 pipes. This arch was about 8.5 feet tall and 10 feet wide. So when making my balloon arch, I blew up 2 balloons at a time. I underinflated the balloons by pressing them against the table and releasing air from the top. And then I tied the 2 balloons together in a dupe, leaving slack at the neck. The colors I used was Mustard Yellow by Sempertex in 11 and 5 inch, Blue Slate by Tuftex in 11 and 5 inch, Eucalyptus by Sempertex in 11 and 5 inch, and White by Tuftex in 11 and 5 inch. As mentioned in the beginning of this video, this is going to be an organic balloon arch. So the balloon sizes are not going to be exact. Now, if you want a more uniform balloon arch like the ones you see at high school games or, graduations or things like that, then you can use a balloon sizer. I suggest you use the 9-inch balloon sizer. I think those make the perfect balloon sizes for an outdoor balloon arch. Another thing to note, these are recycled balloons. So I blew up and tied together 18 dupes of each color of the 11-inch balloons. So that's a total of 36 balloons for each color of the 11-inch balloons. So after I've blown up my balloons and tied them into dupes, I'm going to twist together 2 dupes of the same color into a quad. And it's going to be a flat quad like you see right there. Make sure that you double twist your dupes together so that they won't pop out of the quad. Now I'm going to show you 3 ways to make this balloon arch. The first one is you can take one neck from one balloon in one quad and the neck from another balloon in another quad and then tie them together. And that's how you can connect your quads. So this is how you would connect all the quads in your balloon arch, by just tying one neck from one balloon in one quad to a neck from another balloon in the other quad. And you want to make sure your quads are sitting nice and flat on top of each other before you connect the next quad. Now this took about 4 or 5 minutes to make this little portion of the balloon arch with the necktie method. I understand for some of you this may be a little tricky because practice makes perfect. So I do have another method that you can use, which is the 260 balloon method. So I'm taking some Sempertex 260s and I'm tying them together. I tied 6 of them together to make a long stretchy kind of rope here. And then I'm going to take one of the quads and tie one end of the 260 around that quad. I'm going to lay it nice and flat. I'm going to put another quad on top, sitting it nice and flat on top. And I'm just going to take that 160 and wrap it around both quads, going over the top and under the bottom, over the top and under the bottom. And make sure you get the quads nice and flat. I'm maneuvering them, making sure they're nice and flat on top of each other. Then I'm going to put another quad on top and then take that rope and go over the top quad and under the quad directly below it, over the top and under the quad directly below it in a sort of figure 8 motion. And I'm just going to continuously do that. Add a quad on top and then go over that quad and under the one directly below it. And then I'm going to give it a good tug to make sure that it's nice and secure. So once I'm done adding all of my quads, I'm just going to take the remaining of the 260 rope and I'm just going to tie it into itself, double tying it. And this is the second way that you can make this arch. Now the first 2 methods that I showed you on how to make this arch, they're pre-made methods. So you're making them before you get to the location. And the reason for that may be because you might be on time constraints. So it will help if the arch is already made. Now, if you are doing it this way, you want to make it into pieces. So you would make it into about maybe 4 pieces for this 8.5 foot arch, just following this same pattern. So as you see, I'm just sliding this section onto the pole. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist 2 balloons every other quad. So I'm just going down 2 quads and then twisting 2 balloons around the pole to make sure it's nice and secure on the pole. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm connecting the second piece by just sliding it onto the pole and then twisting 2 balloons from every other quad around that pole to make sure it's nice and secure on the pole. So I'm just showing you from a different angle how I am sliding those pieces onto the pole. Now make sure when you're twisting the balloons that you're twisting the 2 balloons that you slid onto the pole first. Now there's a gap there between the blue slate and the white balloons. So I got a 260 balloon and tied it around the blue slate cluster, and now I'm wrapping it around a couple balloons in both the blue slate and the white cluster so that I can connect those 2 clusters together. And I'm also doing it to the blue slate and white clusters on the side as well. So now the third way of making this balloon arch is that you wait till you get to the location, set up your stand, and then you slide on your quads individually. Okay, So you're going to slide on the individual quads like I'm doing right now. I'm sliding it on. I'm pushing it up towards the quad right above it to cover gaps. And then I'm twisting 2 balloons around that pole to make sure that each quad is nice and secure. So you're just doing this one by one. Instead of pre-making the arch into sections like I did with the other 2 methods, you're just sliding the quads on one by one. Now this can be more time consuming, but I feel like it is the easiest method to make, especially if you're not used to tying balloons or using 260s. So now it's time for me to add my 5-inch decorators. So I made some small clusters of 4 and I tied these clusters together using a 260 balloon. Then I'm just going to wrap that 260 around one of the balloons in the balloon arch, and make sure you wrap it around a couple times to make sure that those clusters are in there nice and secure. And then I'm just going to repeat the steps, adding in small clusters to fill in gaps and add more complexity to the balloon arch. So here's the finished product to the organic outdoor balloon arch. Make sure that you use a proper amount of weight on each base, especially on those windy days. I would suggest anywhere between 30 to 50 pounds per base. And if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, go ahead on and like it, and please subscribe. And you'll get notifications on future videos on balloon and event decor. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.